While we're waiting for folks to come in and to take the poll if they haven't already, I'll answer the first question. The How does the mentoring work? So that's a really good question. So we have a really great faculty model at WGU where when you start your program, you'll have a program mentor that is there with you from day one until the day you graduate. They are your go-to person. So when you're having any questions or concerns about WGU policy or concerns about, how do I find this? Where do I go for that? They are your go-to person. But then beyond that, they're also there to help you craft really strategic goals each week to make sure you stay on pace. They're to make sure you find all the right resources to support your academic studies. They're there to motivate you. So in that motivate question, right, they're one of your greatest cheerleaders and advocates. They're going to be there to really cheer you on. And then when you hit those obstacles and struggles, they're going to be there to coach you and really help you find that inner strength and those inner solutions that exist within you that you didn't even know were there. So they are fantastic at supporting you. And most universities, especially online universities, they just kind of throw you to the wolves and you hope for the best, right? But at WGU, our model is centered on the student and making sure that you have all the right support and that you're not alone. Corey, did you want to answer the question of what resources are available? Would you mind taking that one?
Sure. As far as resources are available, it sort of depends on the course itself. Some of our technical courses use zyBooks, and some of our gen ed courses use other online proprietary resources. But again, we have a variety of resources that are available to go through the learning material. Depending on the course, you might be doing some reading, there might be some practice quizzes, there might be some unit tests, some final assessments. There's really a variety of different types of resources that are available for you to use when it comes to the courses. The way again, we are very unique. You're not going to be having any weekly discussion boards. You're not going to have to reply to someone's post to be a part of, that's like part of your grade. Some of you might have been attending colleges where you've had hybrid or online courses where you've been required to do that. But here again, it's self-paced, and you're not going to be relying upon other people in your course to comment on postings. So back to you, Matt.
Yeah, thank you. That was a really good answer, Corey. And the other question, how do assessments work? So that's a really great, and Corey kind of touched on this a little bit too. But generally speaking, we have two types of assessments. You have a performance assessment where you're writing a paper, building out a project. You're really getting to build something that you can leverage for your portfolio, which is really great. And then we also have our objective assessments, and those are going to be those proctored examinations. And you'll have those for WGU courses, and you could also have proctored exams for the certifications as well. So two different types, and it is a pretty good mix of the different assessments. So if one's not maybe your strength and another one is, you will have that wonderful mix of both. All right, well, let's go ahead since it's 1:37. That answered those questions for you all, and we'll go ahead and get started into the presentation. So again, my name is Matt Hall. I'm a faculty manager here supporting the software engineering program for both the undergrad and graduate program. I'm joined alongside Jeremiah Shroop, who is the lead academic program manager supporting the software engineering program, and Corey Fritzke, who is also a faculty manager supporting the software engineering in both the graduate and undergraduate program. They're going to be working the chat and the Q&A, so if you have any questions in there, you'll see their name pop up plenty, supporting you and answering those questions. And I'll be going through the presentation today, sharing the information for you. And so, today we're going to explore, together really what software engineering is, why it's such a high demand field, how our programs prepare you for success, and, again, answer any questions that you have. All right. So this is a great quote from our director of software engineering, Jared Plum, who's our dean. He says, the application of computer science and engineering principles to the design, development, and maintenance of reliable, efficient, secure, and user-friendly software. And so some of those key principles that exist, within software engineering is separation of concerns. Each component should have a single responsibility, modularity. You're breaking systems into smaller manageable models. And in software engineering, it's about abstraction. You're going to hide unnecessary details, expose only what's essential. You're going to be someone as a software engineer that anticipates change. You're going to design for flexibility because, as you know, if you've worked on any type of project, whether it's a home project or an engineering project, right? Requirements, needs, they evolve. And so you have to be flexible with that. And there's a generality with a lot of the assignments that you get as a software engineer when you're working to solve a problem. You create solutions that work across multiple contexts. And these principles really make software easier to maintain, extend, and adapt. So it is quite a robust field with lots of different components to it. And you can see that here within the software engineering cycle and software development cycle. So software engineering, right, it's more than just writing code. It's about applying engineering discipline to the entire software lifecycle, from design, development, testing, and maintenance. As a student, you're going to hear terms like Agile and Scrum, which emphasize iterative development compared to older models like Waterfall. Agile processes often incorporate elements of Waterfall, but they're really going to focus on that adaptability and collaboration piece of it. And so, some of these terms, some of these things, right now as a prospective student, you may not be familiar with, or maybe you are because you're already working in that field. But in the program, you are going to get to learn all those aspects. Additionally, some of the skills that you're going to get to learn and develop as a software engineering student at WGU is soft skills and technical skills. What we call common skills and hard skills. So soft skills, they're going to include things like communication, leadership, problem solving, and innovation. And that's really, when you think about this day and age that we live in with technology moving so fast, that innovation piece and critical thinking is just critical for working in teams and leading projects. Technical skills that you're going to learn include programming languages like Java or C#, Python, JavaScript, as well as frameworks, APIs, and cloud platforms like AWS. And like I said, you also will learn the Agile methodology and some software development best practices as well. Just curious, you can put in the chat, what's one of these skills that you're most excited about learning in the software engineering program? And what's maybe one skill that maybe you're like, oh, that one sounds challenging, but I'm ready for the challenge. This one I'll pop over in chat, see if anyone. All right, well, let's go ahead and continue while you guys are thinking that through. So why study software engineering? It is a industry is challenging, rigorous program, but there's some really great benefits. If you're a student that's able to get through the program, reach graduation, you have some really great things to look forward to, like high demand job, 87% employment rate after graduation. The average salary right now ranges from $127,000 to $143,000, depending on industry, and experience. And one of the things that we looked at for the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics is between 2025 and 2035, a 17% job growth, which is really exciting. You're not always seeing that in every sector and every job field. But that's something that's really incredible. And even more, right, obviously, right, we have to pay our bills and food for our families. But one thing that especially is really cool about this degree is the intrinsic rewards, that you get to be part of the solution of the problems that you see in this world. You get to be part of a team and a team player. You get to have a degree that is really flexible in how your career choices that you pursue. And you get to leverage your creativity and problem solving skills. So you're not just typing things, right? You get to be creative, which is a really awesome thing. So some top job profiles. I'm sure you know if you've gone on Indeed or if you've searched jobs, right? Because that's something, if you haven't done already, I definitely encourage you to do. Look at some of these job titles. What are the requirements? What are some of the things beyond the degree that you need to have, right? So that you can work towards gaining those things and building your resume and your portfolio, and figure out what you like out of these, right? Because this is a pretty robust list of different types of job titles and career paths that you can choose as a graduate from our program. So some of them, being as, software engineer, DevOps engineer, full stack developer, software engineering manager. We have some really great employers that, our graduates have been able to snag jobs with, including Apple, Google, Amazon, many more. And there's, across industries such as finance, healthcare, aerospace even. And really, the landscape for this and these opportunities are just continue to be even more growing and broad. So you're probably asking, right? The high salary sounds good. Those are some really exciting things that we talked about, skills that you get to learn. And then you're probably thinking, all right, well, is the software engineering right for me? And so, what I would say to you is, software engineering requires a passion for technology and a willingness to learn programming languages and tools, to really put that kind of programming hat on, right? Because it is a unique way of thinking. And so, am I someone that's willing to put that hat on if I've never put it on before? Is it, am I someone that's going to want to push through those challenges, and learn something completely new? Just think about if you ever had to learn a language in high school, a foreign language. It can be pretty daunting because you don't know where to begin and it's completely foreign to you. And it does take some patience and perseverance to get through, but right, you can do it. And so, software engineering requires a systematic and methodological approach to problem solving, as well as attention to detail. And software engineering also involves working in teams. So, that's something that sometimes if you're a lone wolf, can be an adjustment, but it is a wonderful part of this is that you get to collaborate with others, including other developers, project managers, and stakeholders as well. And software engineering, like I said, as you're probably aware, it's a constantly evolving field. So staying up to date with new technologies and methodologies is essential. So you are a lifelong learner in the software engineering world, which is great. That's one of the best things we can all strive to be, right, as lifelong learners. Software engineering projects often have tight deadlines and requires work under pressure. So time management, what a gift school is, because you will get to really refine and develop fantastic time management strategies to hit your deadlines for school. And that skill is going to be a transferable skill for you in your career, because like I said, there is those tight deadlines for projects, and you do have to work under pressure. Software engineering requires adaptability, teamwork, the ability to, like I said, work under pressure. It is challenging, but it's also very rewarding, especially if you love problem solving and building solutions. So this brings us to the Bachelor's of Science of Software Engineering. So this program, it was designed with input from industry experts, provides a solid foundation for scripting and programming, web development, mobile application development, user experience design, and software quality assurance. You'll gain all the skills and experience that you need to be successful in building those modern applications. So what does the curriculum look like? Well, we have 2 tracks. And so when you enroll, the default one that you will default into is the Java track. And so your first term, you'll go through your courses, you'll get to learn, Python, you have intro to programming Python and programming, and you'll kind of get to see really what you like and how that's going. And then after that, term 1 ends, you say, I still want to do, the C# track. That's kind of, what I came for. At that point, that's when you would work with your mentor and they would change you to that C# track. So never fear, if you came to WGU saying, I want the C#, if I can say that right, C# track, don't worry, you will get to be there. Like I said, when you start enrollment, you will start in Java, but we will move you. There's 119 CUs in the program. We have 3 third-party certifications. As you can see, the Project Plus, the AWS, and then the foundation certification. So those are really great things to add to your portfolio, to your resume, and that you get to do, as part of a WGU student, and that will save you some money right there. There is also 2 WGU certificates, depending on the track that you take, that you will get to earn. You'll get to earn a certificate in back-end development and front-end developer, which is really cool. So you also get to add those to your career portfolio too. 70% of our students finish in 40 months. So, it's a longer program, and that will look different for each student, right? If you're coming to the program and you're bringing lots of transfer credits, that's obviously going to speed that up. If you're starting fresh out the gate, that's no problem, right? You get to work with your mentor, and they'll make sure that you have a really great plan to help you get to your graduation goal, regardless if you have transfer credits or not. This is the current cost of the program. So it's $4,125 per term, plus $200 in fees per term to cover your textbooks, because they are included. Like, hurrah for that, right? Like, normally schools, you pay the tuition, and then you also have $600 of books that you have to pay for. At WGU, we take away that barrier of access for our students, and we provide digital textbooks for you, so that you're able to have immediate access to content when you start your courses. And then the other really great feature about WGU is it is a flat rate tuition. So you might be asking yourself, what does that mean? So most colleges, right, when you get your bill for your semester that you pay for, they charge you per credit hour. So if you take a lot of credits that term, while you may graduate faster, you're gonna pay more in that semester, right? At WGU, we charge you that flat rate of that $4,125, and you'll take your required courses that are required as a full-time student, which is 12 competency units. Once you get past those 12 competency units, guess what? You can accelerate courses into your term, and we don't charge you any additional money for that term. So you get to save money and graduate faster. Like, that is incredible. I'm not really familiar with any other university that offers quite that value. And of course, you'll work alongside your program mentor to pull up those courses and to really make sure that it's the right course, you have the right amount of time left, and they'll be there as your resource to help you. We do, as a policy, have one course at a time, because anything that you register for, you are technically committed to completing. And so we don't want to overload you with tons of courses and then something happens and you can't complete them. But you can definitely have that conversation with your program mentor as you go through that path. So some examples of products and tools that you'll learn on the Java track are listed. You'll work with tools like Git for version control, Docker, Spring for backend frameworks, Angular for front-end development. And these are truly some industry standard technologies that employees expect software engineers to know. And so you get to learn it, which is really amazing. I did want to highlight, because I know sometimes when students are kind of starting on this enrollment journey, they may be, interested in the computer science program versus SWE, the software engineering program. And so I just want to highlight that the computer science is going to focus more on algorithms and theoretical foundations, where in the software engineering program, we're going to emphasize application development and engineering principles. So if you want to build software products and systems, you're in the right breakout session. You're going through the right program for you. And this you can find on our website, but I always think it's good to highlight, is the admission requirements for the software engineering program. And again, I'm not going to spend too much time on it, because you can go to the website and refer back to this. But just, you have to have a 2.75 cumulative GPA. And you'd want to make sure that you, for your college coursework, I should say, and you'll want to make sure you get all your transcripts in, and you can work with your amazing enrollment and admissions team, and they'll make sure that you have everything that you need. And if there is anything additional, because every student's journey is unique, they're going to let you know exactly what you need, or if there's something you need to bring up that requirement. But these are some different options that you can take, and that's what I love about our enrollment pathway, is there are multiple different options that you can take, because we recognize that each individual learner has a different story and is coming from a different place. So another thing that we get to talk about today, so obviously that was the bachelor's program, but then we're also going to talk about the what we call the accelerated bachelor's and degree program. And so what we mean by accelerated or bridge, basically that allows you to work through your bachelor's of software engineering and take 4 dual credit graduate level courses while you're in your undergraduate degree. And then once you finish and you earn your undergraduate degree, once that term ends, you get to move directly into the master's program. One key thing with that you probably won't remember by the time you get to graduation, but I always like to highlight, is that once you finish your bachelor's degree and you get that part of it with those 4 dual credit courses included, if your term, let's say, ends in February and it's January 14th today, you would have to wait till the end of February to start the master's program, because one is an undergrad and one is a graduate program. So it's always something that you just want to be mindful of. And again, your amazing mentors are going to work with you to make sure you are on the right timeline with it. But that is one just thing to note. But the benefit of doing the bridge program is the fact that you really do get to save a lot of time, because 4 of those courses that are usually in the MSSWE in the master's program are going to be in the undergraduate program, and so they'll replace a few of the undergrad courses, and it really accelerates that time frame there. So it's really great. So the 3 tracks that we offer in the master's program that you would ultimately get to, so you go through the bridge program and then you get to the master's, is AI engineering, domain-driven design, and DevOps engineering. The cost, if you do the bridge program, that accelerated program, the cost is slightly a little bit more just because there are grad level courses within that program, and then and the software that goes within those grad level courses. So it's slightly more, not by much, but it's $4,195 per term. And then the bridge program usually takes about 11. That's everything. So that's you completing your undergraduate part of the program, and then you completing the graduate level part of it. Takes about 5.5 years. So, like I said, it is saving you some time, at least almost half a year, if not a little bit more, and saving you some money there in the long run, which is really great.
Hey, Matt, can you spend a little bit of time talking about the transition from the undergraduate portion to the graduate degree? We did have a question in the chat about that earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I will get there just 1 second because I do have a really good visual for that. So thank you for highlighting that, Corey. So the one thing you want to know, if you do the bridge program or the accelerated program, we only offer in the Java track. So you would not be able to do C# with it. And then the other thing is we do not offer AWS in the bridge program currently, but you would still get the ITIL, you still get the CompTIA, you would still get the micro credentials, so you would still get those benefits as well. Let me just show you this. Okay, so this is what it would look like on the student journey. So you would do your standard BSSWE courses in your terms 1 through 5. Student terms 6 through 9, students will complete the BSSWE courses plus those, are in place of the 4 MSSWE courses within the BSSWE program. And then the student would graduate. So you would graduate with your bachelor's of software engineering, which is great. So you can start leveraging that in your career journey. And then the new term would start with the MSSWE graduate beginning the MSSWE program. They would finish the remaining core courses that everyone takes regardless of which track you're in for MSSWE. And then you would take your specialization courses, and then you would graduate. Does that help answer the question?
It does, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, the thing I like to tell is that when you finish the bachelor's portion, you cannot finish your master's degree until your next brand new term starts. So sometimes there might be a slight delay in being able to start the remaining courses in the master's programs.
Right. Absolutely. Thank you for pointing that out. All right. And so that was the bridge program. That's kind of the in between, right? You're getting the best of both worlds. You're getting the undergrad, you're getting MSSWE rolled into one concise package. There may be some students on the call, you already have your bachelor's degree, you already meet the requirements, and you're like, you know what, I just want to start in the master's of software engineering. That's wonderful. You can absolutely do that. You're going to gain hands-on experience in software architecture, testing, project management. And again, the cost for this one is a little bit more because it is a grad program, a graduate level program. So it's $4,385 per term plus fees. The average time frame that we're seeing is about 3 terms to 18 months. But honestly, we've seen students graduate in 6 to 12 months. That's definitely also been the case as well, especially if you're someone that has a strong background in software engineering. The max time frame for that program, that would be 4 terms or 24 months. And so these are the core courses that you would cover. So real-life application of data structures, governance, risk, and compliance, advanced software engineering, network architecture and cloud computing, software architecture and design, software quality assurance and deployment, and then software product design and requirement engineering. So like I said, regardless of what track you pick, these would be the core courses that you would take. And then we do have the most popular track, the AI engineering. And the career opportunities that exist for this one is AI engineer, AI architect, or solutions architect. The specialization is really going to equip you to lead AI-driven projects and initiatives across industries. So you'll build the skills to innovate, optimize processes, and take on advanced roles that shape the strategic use of artificial intelligence in organizations. And some of the concentration courses, like I said, you're going to learn about human-centered AI, integrating AI with modern software applications, which is a huge topic right now within so many different industries of how can we integrate AI to be more efficient and effective. And then the second track is domain-driven design. And this really helps you align complex software systems with business goals. So you're going to gain skills in strategic modeling, cross-functional collaboration, and building scalable, purpose-driven solutions, and preparing you to lead teams across industries. And then lastly, the DevOps engineering, and that's where you're going to lead collaborative, automated software development processes. And then here is the MSSWE admissions requirements. Again, this is all on the website as well. So if you are interested in doing the MSSWE, here are the admission requirements for it. And I did want to highlight that if the Bachelor's of Software Engineering and the Bridge program that we were previously talking about, those two have the same requirements. And then the Master's obviously has a little bit higher level and some different requirements there. All right, well, I know we're out of time. So I do want to wrap this up since it is 2 o'clock. If you have any questions, continue to put them in the chat. We'll definitely get to them as they come along. And just thank you all for coming along the presentation. I hope it was informative, and nothing but the best for you in your academic future.